My name is Barbara Askins. I'm the president and CEO of the 125th Street Business Improvement District. Well, a typical day for me involves basically place management and placemaking. It's taking a look at what 125th Street is about and where we want it to go.
The 125th Street BID is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that was incorporated into law in September 1993. The boundaries is a 5-block area. It includes 100 properties and approximately 250 businesses on the ground floor and approximately 600 businesses upstairs. The organization was organized to basically spur economic development.
The 125th Street BID was one of the first, if not the first, business improvement district created in a community of color on the planet. And it was important to us because if it could be done on 125th Street, then we could be a model for what could happen in other areas. You see, in an area like ours, there are many things that you have to look at because most business improvement districts have continuous business activity along the defined area. And we have multiple uses, many that are tax exempt, that are important to the community. Our churches, our state and local government institutions that are employee generators, but not necessarily revenue generators for the BID. So how do you integrate all that together and then still come out with a financial mechanism that make the district work? And because the bottom line is we are a business improvement district, and so the business comes first, but the business does not work if the rest of the community is not also addressed. So that was important for us. Second, I would say, is once getting it established, how to grow it in that dynamic. And I think we have become experts at it. We have set the pace, I can tell from those who call. And if you look in most areas, we have these issues because we need the support services. We need to support social services in order to grow a total community. And how that major commercial strip, which is the economic heartbeat of the community, still flow through that and support business growth was the major challenge. And also a rewarding experience, actually. The BID impacts 125th Street on many levels. Those levels involve those stakeholders, and the stakeholders include the property owners, the community residents, the commercial tenants, the office tenants, people on the street, those who visit 125th Street, those who work in development, and those who want to do business on 125th Street. We look at it from an overall level to a very specific level. Specific can be as small as passing out maps to those who come into the area who want to know where to go. Overall is where do we want to be in the future? How do we want 125th Street to look? And then looking at how the business community integrate in with the residential community, creating jobs, creating opportunities for entrepreneurship, quality of life issues. We look at what all the components are that contribute to a comprehensive major street corridor. In order to market 125th Street properly, we try to keep ongoing, concise records of our pedestrian foot counts. Just on any day, we average approximately 3,500 pedestrians an hour on one side of the street. These type of figures are important in marketing 125th Street. In planning the BID operations, we know where the public is at 12 o'clock, at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we know where to deploy our sanitation cleaners when they're most effective, how to deal with our public safety issues, and even how to promote, to let the businesses know where the people are and at what time of day that they're there. We also look at the citywide figures of tourism and people who are coming to 125th Street. Over 200,000 people a day just coming from, one subway line. 125th Street is a major transportation thoroughfare, and we have people coming from the tri-state area that either come to our district or pass through our district. The future of 125th Street involves bringing in more of our culture. And bringing in more of our culture and our history in all phases, including the physical phase, in the programming and also the business phase. You know, when you walk on 125th Street, you automatically can feel the energy that comes from the creative character of, you know, those from the past as well as the present and the future. We have the Apollo Theater, and you get that experience when you go into the theater. Some of that can come out of the walls and onto the streets and make its way onto the facade of the buildings, into streetscape elements like our lighting, into our sidewalk fixtures, into our images on our banners and our poles, and also too to get into the technology, how, you know, businesses that are growing in with using more and more technology for sales, how can they also include the culture into that? You know, culture as the driving economic tool for 125th Street is what will give us the distinction, because our history and our culture is a very valuable asset. And so even using that with the street vendors on the street, artistic, you know, carts to be able to showcase some of the creative products that those who are from the neighborhood have been able to produce. That will give us something that people are excited about, that they're coming here and they're looking for it. So making it user-friendly, easier to find, easy to get here, easy to get back, easier to have better taxi service. All of the infrastructure to enhance this experience is the future of what I see not so far away.
Harlem is a major tourist attraction that attracts over 800,000 visitors a year. Over the last several years, the property owners and the businesses on 125th Street came together to look at a vision of where we're going to go in the future and how to make the district better. During that time, what happened was the city took a good look at 125th Street and decided to rezone the area. So the approach from the bid and the business people was to come together and look at 125th Street from every aspect, from the transportation that was available, from the parking, the business mix, the cultural uses. And through that, a series of exercises were developed. We went on a retreat, we had many dialogues with each other, and determined there were two things that 125th Street needed: rezoning and how to address the quality of life issues. So with the rezoning, we formed a relationship with the Urban Design Lab at Columbia University. And through that relationship, this is where academia and business people came together to look at what is the best way to make 125th Street grow. And from the community level, the business level, from the political level, from the university, and also local and city government, one thing came forward, and that was culture, preserving the history of Harlem. And how could we make that work? So from a business perspective, one of the ways to make it work was to get business people to invest in culture. And it was determined that the city needed to meet us halfway. And our proposal to them was to offer us a bonus, a cultural bonus as an incentive to entice developers and property owners to invest in this culture. We proposed several proposals that would make 125th Street an entertainment and special district, and the city received it, the community received it, and for the first time an arts bonus was introduced into the legislative laws for planning of 125th Street. This is a vision that will produce, in our minds, cultural industries with complementary uses. And so during that, you're able to address some of the small business issues. You're able to address creating new markets and also bringing back what we need to fill in the gaps. Instead of having one cultural destination where people go there and then get in a car to go home, you can have a whole experience, from having nightlife to having a shopping experience and being able to take the street to where it used to be. So if we're to accomplish all of that, then there also needs to be a total transition of the streetscape. And so some of our infrastructure that was put in back in the late 80s, 89, like the lighting and the sidewalk, all of those things need to be readdressed. So working with the city, we're looking at bringing the new LED lights to the street. We're looking at removing the decorative bricks that are starting to decay, and putting a clean surface to identify what type of sidewalk would be there. Happily, the Apollo Theater launched the Walk of Fame, which is also an early project to showcase, potential different type of cultural expressions that can even lead to the sidewalk. We're looking at the type of signage that could potentially be used on buildings. So a culturally sensitive streetscape improvement plan is the direction that we're going. And what that means is looking at what's out there that works, looking at what needs to be taken away, identifying dead spaces, properties that could be used for cultural expression, what type of existing streetscape elements that are within the regulations that can have some adaptations that would allow cultural expressions. Our holiday lighting program. Holiday lighting, we have now started to look at it as a community program instead of a holiday lighting program. This program brings together the East, the West, and the central core of 125th Street, in addition to that whole concept of expanding north and south, working and developing partners with those existing organizations so that when we kick off the holiday season, it goes to a larger audience of the community, but also larger participation from the businesses. The community bought into the vision of a cultural destination, and that cultural destination, yes, 125th Street can be the focal point, but it's to spur and to lead and to show to the rest of the area. So that's what the vision is, that's what the future is for 125th Street. We did all this with partners from the city level, working very closely with all of the city agencies, working closely with our local politicians, and working closely with our other economic development agencies.
125th Street Fast Facts. We have a lot of interesting statistics about 125th Street. It's a 2-mile long center of commerce. 220,218 residents live in a 1-mile radius of 125th Street. We have 18 bus routes that traverse our commercial strip. So you can get across town, uptown, or downtown, on any bus route. All of them cross 125th Street. 10 subway lines cross 125th Street. And out of this, we have an annual ridership that come to 125th Street or pass through 125th Street that involve 23 million people. Approximately 9,847 passengers arrive and depart on Harlem's 125th Street Metro North on a typical weekday. All of these people show the value of why you should be doing business on 125th Street.